To begin this video, I want you to pick a number between 1 and 8. Then I want you to times it by 2. Okay, then I want you to subtract 3. And then once you've done that, I want you to times that number by 2. Have you got it? Anyway, what makes the TF2 mercenaries resonate so well with people is that they're based off some of the common stereotypes from the countries they come from. And as we all know, TF2 fans love stereotypes. Some of the stereotypes are so obvious in origin, they can practically be seen written on the mercs' faces. As an Englishman, I can 100% confirm that everything Demo is, says and does is entirely Scottish. Yet some of them almost play with the idea of a reverse stereotype. Engineer, for example, encompasses all of the southern mannerisms Southerners are known for in America. However, most Southerners in American media are stereotyped into being dumb, and Engineer kind of plays with the reverse of that. And then there are those amongst our TF2 mercs who have stereotypical personalities of questionable origin. For example, I knew very well that Sniper wasn't a true Australian before it was revealed to us in the comics, because if he was, every other word out of his mouth either would have been a swear word, a slur, or a swear word followed by a slur. And then we get to the Medic, a relatively evil German doctor/scientist with practically no moral compass who takes great pride in performing inhumane biological experiments on both his patients and colleagues alike. Where does this stereotype come from, I wonder? The topic of this video is designed to answer a question I've had about the lore of TF2 and more specifically the Medic for a very long time. And that question is, did the Medic fight in World War II? And by fight in World War II, I think you know what I mean. I can't actually say the word in this video because of everyone on Twitter accusing absolutely everyone who doesn't follow their ideology to a T of being part of a certain, shall we say, problematic German military. But yes, I am proposing and answering the question of whether Medic was part of that military. Also, I just have to give a semi-legal disclaimer that this video is produced purely for the purposes of education. I am taking real-world historical events and comparing them to the fictional historical events of TF2 to see if there are any overlaps to answer the proposed question. This video was made with no malice in mind towards anyone. Anyway, to see if this theory holds any water or if it's just indeed a load of bollocks, we'll split the remainder of this video into two between covering the evidence that supports it and covering the evidence that opposes it, with an important intermission in the middle, so be sure to stick around for that. And speaking of sticking around, if you're enjoying what you're seeing so far, why don't you consider subscribing, because I'm trying to hit 8 billion subscribers before the end of the year. I legitimately believe I can do that. And once you finish watching this video, I have a whole other playlist on my channel of like-minded content if you're interested. Or if you're not. It's okay, I'm fine. So let's first take a look at the evidence supporting the theory that Medic took part in World War II, which, depending on how you want to interpret it all, is a surprising amount. We have to start off with some speculation though, so let's talk about Medic's age. Now, I really hate when media companies do this, but it seems to be quite a common trend to be relatively secret about your characters' ages. I don't know why it's so hard to just outright confirm the ages of various characters. It would make things a lot easier, but considering how age is a hugely important part of concept design, we can assume anyway that for TF2 at least, Valve has some rough ideas of the canon ages of the mercs. To my knowledge, the only one we truly know of is Scout, who is roughly 27. And for the sake of ages, I personally subscribe to the theory that Scout is the youngest of our mercs and Heavy is the oldest. So where does that put Medic? Well, going through his early concept arts, we can see he was always drawn to be an older man than most of the mercs. A lot of these traits carry through to his modern day depiction, in which in the comics he is often depicted with greying hair on the sides. And if we take a look at his in-game model as well, we can see that he's probably experiencing some form of hair loss, as his hairline isn't all that strong. So with all of my observations intact, I'm honestly willing to put Medic somewhere in his early 50s along with Soldier. However, if you disagree with that, let's be generous and put him in his late 40s, just for a thought experiment. The current events of the TF2 comics take place in 1972, so if we go back around 47 years and then calculate up from that, Medic would have been fighting age for World War II. And if these numbers seem relatively young, remember that that's if we're being generous. If he's really in his early 50s like I think he would be, then he'd be smack bam in the middle of conscription age. But let's be honest with ourselves, even if he wasn't drafted, do you really think Medic would turn down the opportunity to work with live wounded soldiers on the battlefield? Or do you think he'd rather be stuck up in a surgery somewhere in the middle of a town waiting for injured people to come in? So as far as war efforts go so far, I think Medic would have been of ripe age to play the game, either fighting with the soldiers or performing some sort of surgical duties. So now it's time to move on to something else, something like item descriptions. Now I've brought up item descriptions before and some people tend to roll their eyes realize when I do. However, in response to that, I really don't know how much more concrete you want things to be. Item descriptions can actually be found in the game itself, they're not just something posted on a website. If anything is going to tell us about Medic's history in Germany, it's going to be the item descriptions of his hats. And surprisingly enough, there is one hat we have to talk about, and boy is this going to be a big one. The hat I am of course referring to is the Medic's mountain cap. Some of you probably saw this coming. And the item description is as follows, quote, "The men in his unit called him the Bavarian Butcher." So what does this mean? Let's break it down. First of all, yes, Bavaria is a place in Germany. And 2, there is a mountain range in Bavaria, the Bavarian Alps. And 3, this was a place German soldiers were stationed during World War II. There was a redoubt in the Bavarian Alps called the Alpine Fortress, which is basically somewhere you retreat to after a battle. And so, if Medic owns a mountain cap, that mentions a military unit in Bavaria, which if we are trying to prove Medic's innocence for being a part of a certain problematic German military, doesn't really seem to help our case. So, is this it? Is this definitive proof that Medic was part of a certain problematic German military between 1935 to 1945? Well, this is where that intermission comes in at the beginning of the video I told you about, because I can confidently say that after doing even more research, I can prove that Medic was not part of this certain problematic German military. First of all, allow me to address you relatively informally. Do you really think that Valve would make one of their characters part of a certain problematic German military? Like, do you really think that's something they would do? Valve is a company that promotes gambling and has allowed bad actors to get away with literal cybercrimes for many years, but this, of all things, is not something I think they'd want to be a part of one of their games. And on that note, allow me to address that one common rumour that I probably should have addressed earlier that hundreds of you have probably typed out in the comments. No Valve employee ever confirmed that Medic was not part of a certain problematic military. This rumour originates from a 4chan post where someone who is claiming to be a Valve employee states this. So if you believe that some random guy on 4chan who claims to be a Valve employee really is a Valve employee, then I might want to hook you up with my friend, because he's trying to sell some magic beans. He does great 3-for-1 deals. I probably should have brought that up in the video earlier, like I said. I'm really sorry, I just didn't really find anywhere to fit it in. But now that it's been said, we can all laugh at everyone in the comments who's already commented that. So be sure to comment down below #MedicTheChat, just so I know that you made it this far into the video, and I'll like your comment. But anyway, none of that was really proof. That was mostly just speculation and also putting a rest to a baseless rumour. What real proof do I have to prove that Medic wasn't part of this certain military? Well, if we go back to the world of item descriptions, we have this hat to take a look at. This is the Combat Medic's Crusher cap, and if I may, I'm going to read the item description for you now. Quote, "You never fought in the big one like your great-grandfather, but there's one thing you've got that he'll never have. Guts." No wait, that's what he had. You get this hat. And yes, in case you were wondering, the Second World War was referred to as the Big One, with the First World War commonly being referred to as the Great War. And, well, this kind of just outright confirms that Medic didn't participate. I mean, I really don't know how much more proof you want. Yes, the Medic's mountain cap did make me think this was really an open and shut case, but this is quite literal confirmation that Medic did not fight in the war, yet his great-grandfather did, which is interesting. Now, there is another item description that I quickly just want to mention, and that is the item description for our beloved dove Archimedes. It's a bit of a long description, but the rough breakdown is that Archimedes used to be a wedding dove, before the Medic stole the van he was in from the Prime Minister's wedding. Now, I've often seen a lot of people cite this description as being canonical proof that Medic did participate in the war, and in fact was very close with the man leading it. However, doves only live a lifespan of 10 years on the higher end, and if Medic were to have stolen Archimedes in 1945, that would make him over 30 years old in the present day where he is still alive, so that can't possibly be right. In terms of what Prime Minister he stole this catering van from, I don't know. I wasn't actually able to find a list of German Prime Ministers who have had weddings in office. But I can confirm it's not the big man. And that about wraps it up for all of the proof I have confirming that Medic did not participate in the war. Some of it was speculative, some of it was outright confirmation, but it was mostly just date-based. Yes, there is a lot less evidence to suggest that he didn't participate rather than he did, but I personally believe the evidence that suggests he didn't participate is a lot stronger, and therefore it counts more to me. But for those who are left unsatisfied in this conclusion, allow me to extend the olive branch and say that I do personally believe that Medic was inspired by German scientists in World War II. As I said at the very beginning of the video, stereotypes come from a specific place for a specific reason, and we all know where the stereotype of an evil German doctor/scientist comes from. So, whilst he may not have been one of them, I think it is very fair to say that he was largely inspired by them, which, depending on how you look at it, is, well, it's probably a bit cruel. Anyway, thank you for watching. I have absolutely no idea how this video is going to be received in the slightest, so let me know down below if you did like it, and likewise, let me know down below if you didn't like it. This video took far too long to make, to the point... Oh, wait, I just hit 20k. Oh, thank you very much, everyone. I was just about to say that this video took a very, very long time to make because of all the research that was involved, to the point where there's probably something major I've missed somewhere, so if you're a German historian, or someone who also knows an excessive amount of the TF2 lore, please let me know down below anything I might have gotten wrong. But anyway, that's one final thank you from me for watching, and I will see you later down the sunny road. And also, if your final number was 14, I hate you.